Welcome to Awards Bait, the official Galaxy of Film award show podcast, where we ask ourselves, what's getting nominated this year? Joining me every other Tuesday is a roster of guest stars to help me answer that very question. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Awards Bait. This is our third installment, right? We're back. We're here again. This is Awards Bait, and we've got some pretty fun topics to go over today. I am not alone, of course. I've got my co-host, my trusty sidekick here, Mr. Ron Visiglia. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good. I'm happy we're continuing doing our episode.
Yeah, man.
Watching more movies as they come along and the Oscar season, approaches.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good time.
I think this is good. I'm very excited to kind of, make sure that you're the one, you're able to see all these films. And I'm very happy that I get to kind of be by your side this whole time while you're watching these films. So this has been
I'm glad to be by your side.
It's lovely.
It's a great time.
Been seeing some good films. I think we are approaching some potentially even better films as we progress here. We've got a very good one to talk about today, and another movie to talk about as well.
Hey, listen. I liked it.
I know. Hey, we'll get into it. We've got a very nice show to talk about here. Probably not as long as previous episodes, but we are gonna go over some stuff here. Before I get started. We've got some housekeeping to take care of. So, Pretty Hurts, the latest horror short film from Galaxy of Film, is out now. It came out this past Halloween. Naima Saeed was able to write and, I believe, produce and star in this film. Max, of course, directed. But Naima really kind of took center stage here, and I'm super proud of her. She did such a great job with this first kind of short film through Galaxy of Film, and I am very excited to see her voice continue on this channel. Really great stuff off the bat, and it's a great film, so check it out if you haven't yet. It's super interesting, super fun, and really good for the Halloween season. I know we're moving past Halloween, but hey, there's always room for spooky vibes, so check it out if you haven't already.
Yeah, Nosferatu's coming out.
And Nosferatu. Nope.
Yeah.
Nosferatu. You just made me think about adding that to the news, so we'll talk about that as well, because I just remembered that had some first look reactions come out this past week, so we'll talk about that as well. But before we do that, Getting Real with Zippy. It is a new short film that myself, Will, Guzman, and Devin worked on. And it is coming out November 22nd. So I'm going to plug it like crazy right now because the next episode of Awards Bait will be after Zippy releases. And I think I really enjoyed this one. It's tied with the Ick, I think, for like the most enjoyment I've had making a short film in this new kind of era so far under Galaxy of Film. This one I feel like we really got to kind of stay in the pocket with time. I think we really were able to do this, and we were able to knock this out in like 2 hours. Like once we really got in there, in that studio setting, we did it in 2 hours. It was fantastic, and it really worked out. I loved playing this character. I think he kind of harkens back to like the Mayhem, like the prime Mayhem days. I know Ronnie knows all about that. Mm-hmm. And Zippy is totally a character that you would see in the prime Mayhem days. So it was really kind of nostalgic and special for me to kind of step back into that because it was fun and it was a different look for me, and I got to wear this wig and I got to like grow out this like really crappy little patch on the bottom of my lip, and I got to just play around in a legit looking studio for like 2 hours and pretend to be a radio host. So I had a great time making Getting Real with Zippy. I really hope you guys enjoy it when it comes out on November 22nd, just in time for Thanksgiving. And I don't know if it's public yet, so maybe I won't talk about it too much. But we might be doing something that we did in January in December. So there you have that. But it's very exciting. It's very fun. And I'm excited to do that when that happens. But anyway, let's get into some news. It is awards bait. We've got a semi-loaded episode this week. None are going to be, I think the next episode of awards bait is going to be the biggest that we've done so far, and I'm very excited for that because we'll get to it at the end of the episode. But in news, we just talked about it a little bit, but I wanted to talk about the first reactions for Nosferatu. First things first. You actually kind of shared some of this with me regarding the sort of first look reactions. I think people were recently, I don't know which film festival it was, but people recently have been seeing it around. So it seems like it's really fucking good. So that's exciting.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, look, it was Robert Eggers, so I was kind of going in being like, this is gonna be a good movie. Especially after The Northman. Like, for me, like, I didn't really love The Witch or Lighthouse. Like, I understand, like,
really?
I appreciate Lighthouse for, it's a very, like, technically good, very well made movie. It's just like entertainment wise, like The Northman kind of brought it more for me than Lighthouse. Obviously, given what it is, it makes sense that it kind of has more of that entertainment value. But
Yeah.
seeing, Northman cemented for me that, Robert Eggers, like, I mean, really the Lighthouse, like, he knew what he was doing, but then to see him able to actually do it on like a larger scale with like The Northman,
Yeah.
being like, oh, this guy like he actually knows what he's doing. He knows how to make a movie. He knows how to work in a small set with a small crew and a big set with a larger, scope and scale. And obviously to have like kind of a semi-known like IP like Nosferatu, have that, come out. I knew we were in good hands. And to hear like the initial reviews be like very good was very nice to hear.
Yeah. It made me kind of perk up a little bit seeing you send these to me because I was like, oh shit. Like I think so far, like, granted, I haven't really been as in the know, and I purposely so. Like, I haven't really been looking into the awards predictions this year because I kind of want to approach this show as like, you and I are just seeing films every week, and we're we're surmising our own lists. I think that's really great for this show. So I've been kind of purposefully keeping my nose out of things. I have a general idea of like what's coming out and like what looks good, what looks bad, what's connecting, what's not connecting. But at the end of the day, it's still pretty wide open in my opinion. Like I feel like this awards race especially has been really kind of like a wasteland so far. Like I really feel like aside from Anora, which we'll talk about today, it's pretty up in the air. Like I really feel like a lot of these contenders are not connecting, and like some of them are just like Everything Everywhere All at Once came out in March, and like several other films came out super early in the year, and like Past Lives as well. Like these are all movies that we knew were gonna get nominated super early on, but like this year it's like, okay, Dune 2. What else? And then now Anora. Like Anora and Dune 2 are the only two movies that I truly feel very confident in. In their awards content. And those are two movies. Like we have 8 more that can get nominated for Best Picture. Like that's kind of crazy. And it's like I feel like I haven't seen any of the other 8 Best Picture nominees yet.
No, yeah.
And that
feels like
crazy.
It's gonna be super like top heavy. It's gonna be like, well, it's gonna be like literally Anora or Dune, and then like 8 other like, not 8, but a large majority are gonna be like not. They're clearly not gonna win, but they needed 10 to fill in the 10.
Well, I think also it's like it's just that kind of year where it's like Nosferatu could be like Nightmare Alley, where it's like it's good and it's really good, like we really like it, you know what I mean? But like it doesn't get.
Well, you really liked it. I didn't actually see it.
Which one, Nightmare Alley?
Yeah, I never got around to seeing that.
My thing with Nightmare Alley was like it was kind of strange that it was nominated for Best Picture. Like it was like why did like how
they got nominated?
Yeah, and it was like pretty random. Like, because I remember I saw that with like my family, and they all hated it except for me. Like me and my girlfriend. My girlfriend was like, by the end of it, she was like, "That was pretty good." And then, but I'm like, I read the book and like, I was super into it the whole time. But like, I was also kind of like, this is a little boring. Like, my family definitely hates this, and this is why did I go see this with my family? Like, that was a weird idea, but I dug it. Like, I like the story, I like it, whatever. But That was nominated for Best Picture, and I think if that couldn't get in there, Nosferatu
Oh,
potentially could.
yeah. Yeah.
So I think that's great, especially with the Northman not connecting like in a big
Ugh.
way,
And
which
this makes
is
me so sad.
devastating. Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely devastating. Northern was so it was so good.
it's so good.
And the problem is that we saw it with people and we saw them live react and be like, this did not connect with me. And that made you and I just so upset.
I forgot about that. Yeah,
Yeah. It was so good.
I forgot we
And
saw it with those people.
some of the things that I've
That
heard
was
from
my
even other
birthday movie.
people. I know. And it was a great movie.
I loved it.
And it's just like I heard this from other people that it just didn't resonate because it was like kind of not generic, but the story was kind of played out like they kind of knew it was going to happen. And I'm
Yeah.
like, that's kind of like, I know that's like that's a good reason not to like it, but that's kind of the point of it. It's supposed to be like a Norse sort of mythological like epic,
Yeah.
where at the end they fight and do the giant like volcano scene, and that's cool.
Yeah.
It was such a good movie, and it's just sad to see that it just got like swept under the rug. But that's why I'm excited about Nosferatu because it's an IP people kind of know about,
Yeah.
and it kind of builds more into the horror. And I think this could really launch Robert Eggers into like the a known name of directors
Mhm.
outside of just like people that actually know movies and like know the actual good movie makers out there.
Yeah. I mean, judging by this bold prediction number one here on awards bait from me, I think judging by these reactions, I think Nosferatu gets in for Best Picture.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
I maybe that's
What
crazy, but
what would you call like the sort of initial few of the 10? It'd be Dune 2,
I think I think I
Anora,
think right now
Nosferatu. So that's three. You don't have to
Best
do all
Picture.
10,
I'm
obviously,
not
but
gonna
just
do all
do
10. I think
yeah, yeah.
my for me right now, it's definitely Dune 2,
Hmm.
Dune 2 and Anora 100% are
Yeah.
getting
Yeah,
nominated
yeah,
for
yeah.
Best Picture. I think
Nosferatu is like a super early guess, obviously.
I do think Conclave is getting in.
Oh yeah.
I
And
think
maybe the
Conclave is
Brutalist.
there.
I think the Brutalist too.
The Brutalist
Yeah.
will get in there as well. I got to keep an eye on when that's
Is
coming out.
Sing Sing 2 like early? Was that like 2023?
Sing Sing A24 is really fucking
Yeah.
themselves with that movie
Yeah.
because it's like, yeah, that's a Best Picture nominee. However, maybe put it out in theaters.
I know.
Like it's such a
It's
weird foreign concept to
that's
fucking release your movie, but because I want to see it.
Yeah, I know, we both do.
Why did
I
they like?
don't
What is this release schedule? Because it's like
I
it came out in Lincoln Square in July, and it's like, and then it never went wide. So what are you
yeah,
doing? What are you
this
doing? It's
doesn't mean
insane.
unless there's some weird like distribution thing with A24 where they're trying to get it out and they just like can't find like the proper distribution for it.
Yeah,
But it's getting like these great reviews, so I don't understand how
I
it's
think
a
it is.
problem.
I don't get it. And I think the
Yeah.
narrative is so strong because like I was watching like YouTube videos and stuff, and it's like people
Over reviews.
people that have seen it, yeah, and it's like
Hmm.
they were saying like there have been several screenings where like these, because it's like real, what is it, like real, the real prisoners are in the movie, like,
Yeah,
right, and
yeah.
it's like they were the people that were acting in it, and they come out and do a Q&A after, and it's like it
Mm,
just captivates everybody, and it's like it makes you like relate to the story and like really kind of
yeah.
want to award it. So it's like,
Why
what are
you
you
like
doing?
holding it hostage? Yeah.
It's so weird to me, and I want to learn more about why this is happening. But I definitely think right now, Dune 2, Anora, Slave, Sing Sing,
Maybe Nosferatu.
the Brutalist,
Oh, yeah,
Nosferatu
Brutalist, yeah.
potentially. I think those are your.
Yeah.
I think Nosferatu. I I'm not going to say it anymore after that, but I do think, judging by the reception since you and I have seen it,
Oh, yeah.
I think The Substance is gonna get nominated.
I could I could see that. Again, we
I
kind of said like this might be a weaker year where it's like really, really top heavy. I could see that sneaking in if
I
there's like
really
really nothing else.
and like I
And we're missing Megalopolis
right,
and Venom
and Venom
and
plus The
and
Last
maybe
Dance.
Red One is gonna squeeze
For
in.
fuck's sake. Oh, and I mean I do think I think Gladiator 2 is gonna be
Oh, actually,
strong.
yeah, yeah, that might. I feel like if it's good, like it's probably gonna be,
Yeah.
it'll fit in. I think.
I think Gladiator 2 will get in there. I think there is a chance of maybe Blitz gets in there from Steve McQueen. that is a Apple TV Plus film coming out with Saoirse Ronan. It's like a World War II thing. I think that can get in
Mm,
there.
okay.
Um, and I think, oh,
Does
I
that
do.
count if it's not in theaters, or is it going to be
Yeah, it
like a
doesn't matter.
limited?
Netflix. Well, it's in theaters now. Blitz is in theaters right
Oh,
now.
it is?
Yeah, but it's not like AMC. Like we can't go see it right now. It's like it's
Oh, of
in
course.
fucking.
Oh, it's in theaters, but not for us. So
It's in
it's not in
it's in
theaters
theaters. I
essentially.
mean, like I could find a theater and it's like we can go, but like it's
Yeah,
fucking
but it's gonna
forever
be yeah,
away. It's
yeah,
at the
yeah.
it's at the Jacob Burns Center.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah,
like we would have to go there
yeah,
if we
yeah,
wanted to
yeah,
see
yeah.
it.
Yeah.
So I was like, we'll just wait until the 22nd. I don't care, and
Yeah.
I'll like watch it on Apple TV, whatever. I don't give a
Yeah.
shit.
I'll find it. I'll find it. I can just like probably
Well,
watch it.
you can come over.
Oh,
I
okay.
love a good time. But yeah, I think I do think like I was watching it. I was watching The Substance on Halloween. I bought it on Vudu, and I was watching it with
Anyway, it
Maria.
says Fandango at home. Thank you
Fandango at
very
home. Let
much.
me fuck. I
The
can't believe
worst like rebrand
I
that
cannot believe you know that. That makes me so
because
angry that you know that.
because I got an email about it and I'm like, this is like the worst rebrand I've ever seen in my entire. Voodoo was so nice and easy, and it was like Voodoo. It's the movies you buy like to watch on like your computer or on your phone. Now it's Fandango at
No,
home.
no, no. And you know what the best part is? I think they know it's shit because I still look up Voodoo and that comes up. So they
Yeah,
know that it's dog shit.
it's
They
so
know.
stupid. It's so dumb.
Anyway, I bought.
I know what's going on, Voodoo. Yeah, I
Yeah,
know.
I can't believe you know that. That's so great. No, I bought The Substance on fucking Fandango at home, and I watched it on Halloween with my girlfriend, and
Mhm.
she is not a body horror fan. And
Yeah,
she, for most of the movie, was miserable. But by the end, she was like, I gotta say, that was pretty fucking good. And so I'm like,
yeah.
look, if it's connecting with the most, like, she can't watch people throw up in movies at all.
Was
So
there throw up in the substance?
there was throw up, there was everything under the sun in The Substance.
I don't remember the throw up. I remember
It was
everything else.
when they take the activator, they throw up the green shit.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, 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 yeah,
So
yeah,
like that, but then like, but like that's I'm just using the throw up thing as an example for like how
yeah. Yeah, how
Maria
grotesque.
is like
Yeah,
Maria's super like not into that shit.
yeah, yeah.
But she watched The Substance and by the end she's like, gotta say, it was
Pretty
fucking good
good.
though. Like, and I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
if it's connecting with her in that level, I can't imagine. Like people are going to really respond to it, and I think that can sneak in. And I think Demi
Mhm.
Moore for Best Actress is potentially
Yeah,
also happening
yeah.
because like and we'll get into it with Anora as well. But like I kind of like this new like we can nominate fucking really graphic shit now. Like I like that,
Hmm.
and I think like that's where we're heading. Um, and I'm excited. Anyway, that we got into a big tangent there after Nosferatu.
That's good. That's good. That's
It
good.
is good. I think it's a good conversation, and it's something that we needed to talk about because we haven't really been predicting a lot. So I think this is good.
Yeah, because it's been a lot of like we're just seeing this, and this is what's happening
This
right
is what we
now.
saw, yeah. But
Yeah.
after Thanksgiving, I think a lot is going to come into focus for us. So I think by then we'll start to really predict
Hmm.
stuff.
Yeah.
Um, but in other news, let's talk about Mickey 17. It got
Hmm.
delayed again to
Hmm.
April of 2025. It went from January to April. Ronnie, what the fuck is going on with this movie? What
Don't
do you think?
ask me. I mean, the book's been out for like years, so we both know what happens.
We read both. There's two books. We read both.
There's two books, and we read both of them. Yeah, I have no idea. It must be the visual effects of just having like
I don't know.
two Robert Pattinsons on screen at once. But I'm just like, how does it get delayed like a year and in like 3 extra months? It's like a Rockstar game. It's just like it's never gonna come out. It's unbelievable.
I have
And
I
it's
have
gonna
a
and
I have
I'm
a
getting nervous.
bad
Oh, what?
I have a bad thought about this.
Oh, well, you think it's not gonna be good?
I think it's going to be really bad.
I feel like it's gonna be like I feel like it's gonna
I'm
be like
getting very
well
nervous.
made. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm getting nervous too. I think it's gonna be well made, but it's gonna feel like I almost feel like it's gonna be like that old movie kind of vibe where things just kind of happen and there's just like no like oh the story just has to keep moving. Like I don't know how to explain that
I
other
don't
than just
know.
like old movies because a lot of old movies kind of have that feel where just like things just happen and there's no like real sort of rhythm to why they're happening. They just kind of keep like we gotta keep chugging along
Yeah.
and especially since this is based off a book, I feel like
Good. I
Huh?
like the book. I like the
Oh
book.
no, no, the book's very good. No, but the problem is that like when you adapt, I mean Stephen King has this all the time. When you
Yeah,
adapt books to movie, sometimes it just doesn't work because you're trying to literally take the book and make it into the movie, and you have to kind of do liberties to remove things or adjust things to make it fit better for a movie.
yeah,
Because sometimes books just have things in them that like are there for like a literary meaning and like a deeper sense like that don't really fit in a movie when you just have it as like a one-off scene.
yeah,
So yeah, I'm kind of with you. Like I'm getting a little nervous because Bong Joon-ho, I mean, he made Parasite, and then it's
yeah.
just been like, all
Nothing.
right, what's going on? You made literally like one of the best movies like ever, so
Yeah,
like out of nowhere,
yeah.
and then he just kind of disappeared, and now you're making like this sci-fi movie. Again, I think it's gonna be still well made, but I'm getting a little nervous, like you mentioned. Yeah.
I think the trailer is very good, and they just released that recently, and that looks great. And I do think, I want to remain optimistic. I think, like Mickey 17, was originally supposed to probably already have come out. Am I wrong? Like, I think it was supposed to come out in March of
Yeah,
last
let
year
me
or
no, let
March
me
of
see. No.
24. Yeah, it was supposed to come out in March of 24, like this past March. So, like, this was supposed to be already out, like, around Dune Part 2 time. So, like, part of me thinks, yeah, this is probably something that they're holding off on to get awards recognition potentially. At the same time, I don't know. Like I'm getting nervous, and I really think, like, even from the trailer, I'm like, are people gonna think this is goofy?
Yeah, it was supposed to be March 2024. Yeah,
Yeah, that's insane. Like this is such like this is over a year later. Like that's weird.
that's a problem.
And it's
Yeah,
been 6 years since Parasite. So like part of
I
me thinks like,
know.
okay, he's really gonna come back and he's just gonna fucking kill it. Like I think it's going, like I said, I think you and I are gonna like it. But
Oh yeah,
I don't know if general audiences are gonna like it at this point, because it's like played so much, it's probably going to be like a weird movie, and it
I
looks
know.
weird. The
Yeah,
trailer, I'm like, this is weirder than I thought. I'm glad they're going this direction.
yeah.
But like why? Like and then
I
what
mean,
scares
I
me
mean,
even more is they never tell us why it got delayed. Every time they've
I
delayed it so
know.
far, they
It's
don't
just a
tell us why.
delay.
So I'm
Yeah,
like that makes me even more nervous, because it's not like, oh, because of the writer's strike, because of the actor strike. Okay, but like now it's like, okay, we're past all that. We're past COVID. We're past the writer's strike. We're past the actor strike,
mm-hmm.
and you're still delaying this movie. So
Yeah. Like,
what
what's the
is going
problem?
on?
Yeah. I was gonna say, but we both know like one scene that's gonna be like a super like memorable scene from the book.
If they keep it in.
I think they will, because if it goes weird, but like if that doesn't work with audiences, like people are just not gonna like this movie. I think it
Yeah,
should though. I think it should. We're not gonna spoil it, but I think it should work.
yeah. In other news, I think another film that will be an Oscar consideration film is the Michael Jackson biopic. I don't even think this has a title yet, but the Michael Jackson biopic starring Jafar Jackson, Michael Jackson's actual nephew, it was supposed to come out in April of 2025. So it's supposed to be Mickey 17 is coming out.
Oh, so it flip-flopped.
So they flip flopped. Not the same studio, so just a coincidence.
Maybe they're scared of making 17. They're like, this is gonna be too successful of a movie.
We can only hope. We can only hope.
Yeah, we can all help. Yeah.
But this is now coming out on, I think, October 2nd of 2025, which I
My
think
birthday.
that's absolutely right.
Yeah.
Look at this.
Look at that.
Look at this. Wait, is it? I think I'm pretty sure it actually is October
Let's see.
2nd.
Let's see. Let's see.
It
Let's see.
is coming out October 3rd. Never mind. But maybe we'll go see the Thursday night preview, and that's your birthday.
Okay, that makes up for it. That makes up for it. That
That
makes
makes up for it. Yeah. So October 3rd of 2025. So this will be coming out next October. I think this puts it in a much better awards position. I don't know if this movie needed an awards position. I think this movie probably would have been an awards darling no matter what. I think it, the narrative is there. This is Michael Jackson's actual nephew. He looks just like him.
hmm
And if the movie is even half competently made, this will be nominated for so many Academy Awards, because Bohemian Rhapsody was. And that was just fine. So if this is better than just fine, it will sweep at the Oscars next year.
I saw Bohemian Rhapsody so many times.
Yep.
I'm so over that movie. I hate
I
it so
know.
much.
I know. I didn't I that's my sister's favorite movie of all time. It's which is insane. Like super
Yeah.
random for her too. I'm like, why is that your favorite movie? But I think it's fine. I think he's good in it, but I
Mm-hmm.
think like ultimately, like yeah, it's pretty fucking generic.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's what I was
And
gonna say. I'm like, is this gonna take like a Bohemian Rhapsody approach, or is it gonna take a Sacha Baron Cohen approach where it's like
oh,
actually
dude,
like a problem?
you just reminded me of all that.
Yeah, because remember, yeah, if I mean, for those who don't know, like Bohemian Rhapsody was not supposed to be Bohemian Rhapsody. It was supposed to be like a Sacha Baron Cohen movie about him
Yeah.
being like full on like the problematic side of Freddie Mercury, and it was supposed to be like a real take on how he actually acted, which
Damn
would
it.
have been way better.
Yeah.
But then the other band members were like, "No, we're not going to do that. We want to show it in a better light." And obviously for them, I mean, if you've seen Bohemian Rhapsody, they're like, "Oh no, we're not gonna party. We're gonna go home." And it's like, really? You guys are like in one of the most famous rock bands ever at the time, and only Freddie Mercury's a problem?
That's what I mean.
Like,
There's always going to
yeah,
be a bias with these things. So it's like
exactly.
it's never we're never going to get the real like stripped down version.
Hmm.
Like we're always
Yeah,
going to get some watered down bullshit.
yeah,
But hopefully we can get the best of it. But like oh also speaking of best picture nominees, A Complete Unknown. I still forget about that movie, but that's another
yeah.
one potentially.
Hmm.
But anyway, I think this could be uh, a big contender next year, and I think this
Do we
because
have like any info about it besides just that?
I just no, like it's a Michael Jackson biopic. That's all I know,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
that's like, well, that's people are there already. Like people are gonna go see it.
yeah.
It's
Oh, yeah. It's gonna make
it's
a lot of money.
directed. It's gonna make a ton of money, and it's directed by Antoine Fuqua, so that's
Hmm.
also pretty big. He did Training Day and a lot of other like
Mm.
Denzel Washington is.
Okay, so this might actually be like, yeah, this might pit like a little bit more
I hope so.
like realistic.
We'll see. Yeah, I hope
Yeah.
so. I think he can really make it like gritty and like
Yeah.
really kind of
Yeah.
do it. So we'll see. But I think it'll be good. I think it'll at least be good, and I think that will be enough to get it a ton of awards
I
recognition.
could
So,
if there's no name for it yet, I could really see them going for like Thriller and then like
yeah,
colon a Michael Jackson story or something like that. Because I
maybe.
know growing up there was like a real
I feel like
movie
it does have a
about
name.
there
Maybe.
was a real not movie but like a documentary movie about Michael Jackson's like last sort of tour before he died.
Yeah,
I think it was called like Thriller 2 or something like that, or like The Last Walk or something. Let me look at this up. Because I remember as a kid, I really liked Michael Jackson,
yeah. Me too. What the
but I
fuck?
was also terrified hearing what he might have done to little children, and I was a child at the time.
Oh boy. Okay, it looks like the movie is just called Michael.
Okay, that's okay, I guess.
Whatever. Yeah.
No,
Who wrote this movie? Oh. All right, this movie will be good. He wrote
who wrote it? Who wrote
this
it?
guy, John Logan. He wrote Skyfall. He wrote Gladiator. He wrote
Ooh,
yeah, he wrote The
okay.
Aviator.
Okay, this is looking good. This is looking
This
good.
is looking good. This will be on my watch list. He wrote Alien Covenant. Oh. Hang
Ooh.
on. He wrote Hugo. He wrote Sweeney Todd, The Last Samurai, Gladiator, I mentioned,
The
and
Last Samurai. I mean,
yeah, I heard that was pretty good too. All right. Oh, Miles Teller is in this movie, and Coleman Domingo from Sing Sing.
oh, okay.
He is playing Joe Jackson, which is that the father?
I believe so.
So I see a Best Supporting Actor nomination already, right there.
Yeah, this
Uh,
is okay. This is giving me a lot more promise now. It's making me
yeah,
like
this looks
very
good.
motivated.
This will be good.
Yeah, it was the dad. Yeah, because he was also like the manager of Jackson Five.
Yes,
Yeah,
and not great
and
stuff
also
about
he was a
him.
problem too.
Oh
That's
yeah,
why I'm like, this would be really good if this kind of went into like that abuse because he kind of like because it
I
kind of
think
came
it
out
will.
that like Michael Jackson got like chemically castrated
Yeah.
so like that he would keep his voice. It's just like crazy stuff like that.
So I don't know if they'll go into all of that,
No,
but
probably
like
not. But maybe like the abuse
I
from the
think it'll
father.
be alluded to, certainly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Um,
We'll see. I think it lives or dies by that. I think like if they go into it unflinchingly, it will be, awarded beyond
Oh,
like
absolutely.
just
Yeah.
super.
It would get so much praise for its like kind of realistic portrayal of the Michael Jackson story. Even
Yeah,
if it's not, it's still gonna be like a crowd pleaser that makes a good amount of money.
yeah, it'll make. I think. Am I gonna say that on
I mean,
air?
it's gonna make more than Bohemian Rhapsody. I think so.
So it's gonna make $1 billion then, because
Yeah. Oh,
Bohemian
yeah.
Rhapsody made $970 million.
Yeah, I could make a billion. Michael Jackson, because he's like a worldwide like known
Damn.
and
Yeah,
and like
that's huge.
and like the problem. I mean, not the not a problem, but
Yeah.
like some of the stuff working against Queen, the Freddie Mercury movie, is that some people might literally be like homophobic and just be like, I'm not gonna support a movie about that.
Yeah.
So that like actually has it working against itself,
Yeah.
like in
And
certain
Brian
markets.
Singer as well. That director is really just problematic as well.
Oh,
But
really?
I think his name got did it get removed? I don't know, but he's not a good dude, Brian Singer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
He
like certain
directed Bohemian.
markets legitimately might have been like, I'm not seeing Bohemian Rhapsody
They
because
just
this is
blocked the
about a
release. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I can imagine like some areas in like the world just being like, nope, not gonna see it. Like
Yeah.
China,
Or
that's
maybe, yeah,
gone unless they cut
probably.
out all the gay scenes.
Maybe.
And it's like, well, now you kind of are missing a significant
Yeah,
portion.
you're
But
watering
no,
down the material.
I could see this, making a billion easy. Especially when is it coming out?
October 3rd next year.
Oh yeah, that's right. You said that. I'm sorry. If it was a summer movie,
Huge.
ooh, huge. It'd be.
It was
I could
supposed to come out
see.
in April.
Yeah, that would have been perfect to start like the summer movie list.
Yeah.
I
Uh,
could see that legitimately making if it was then, even October's still very good, but I could legitimately see that making like 1.3, 1.4 billion.
damn.
I mean,
You think it's
if
gonna
it's
be that
good,
big? Yeah, I think
if
so
it's
too.
good, yeah.
Damn, we're dropping some heat here
I
on
mean, because
awards day.
It's Michael Jackson.
I know, genuinely, I think this was like the biopic that everybody was waiting for. And like, if
Yeah.
Queen can make almost $1 billion, I think Michael Jackson makes $1 billion.
And that's like the most like generic kind of just like whatever movie,
Yeah,
like by the books.
and it kept going. Kept going. Whew.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think if it doesn't get nominated, it will at least have the box office glory.
Mm-hmm.
So
Oh,
that's good.
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh damn, I didn't even realize the potential of this. So this will be huge.
Yeah, because I mean, again, when we were kids, like, and he was still alive, like, he was still like a
Big deal.
huge star, like
Yeah,
huge. Like his death was like
I
crazy.
remember his death. Yeah,
Yeah, I
but
remember
I was a
too in fifth.
child.
I remember being in fifth grade and just like being like, "Is he gonna die?"
Yeah,
And he just died. That was it.
yeah, insanity. But
So no, this could be like this could be like a great like perfect combination, just like great movie, box star success. I meant blockbuster success.
and then awards recognition. Yeah,
Hmm.
it looks like it's going to be firing on all cylinders. So I think the release date change. It's good. I think
It's yeah.
this really gives it more of a, and it does seem like the articles that I've read with this, it really does seem like that is the reason. It's really kind of at the
Hmm.
forefront of everybody's mind when awards
Yeah.
recognition comes around. So I think it's a good move. I do think April, you sometimes get lost in the shuffle. I don't think this would have. I think this
No,
probably
certainly
would have
not.
done it probably would have done better box office wise where it was. And probably would have also still enjoyed that same critical academy success. So
Yeah.
it is what it is, but October really kind of guarantees that it will. So that's good. Yeah. Let's move on to our reviews of the week. So Ronnie and I saw two movies this week. One was,
Wait, really quick.
yeah.
We got to talk about the other news
What's up?
that the Dune
Oh
soundtrack
yeah,
still
let's.
got.
Okay, that's right. That's
This is
right.
the
That's right.
weekly thing we got to keep up with now because
That's right. I
we
forgot.
talked about it and we thought that was it, and it seems like it's gonna be an ongoing story now.
I know. It's so Denis Villeneuve, it seems like, is pushing it for best score anyway. And he thinks
I
it's silly that
I
it's not getting
I'm so
nominated.
ready for like the we're hyping this up like it's a big story, but I'm just ready for every week being like, all right, what's happening next? Like with this stupid like
Yeah.
story.
I mean, let me read the actual quote here, but I think like what it comes down to is Denis Villeneuve is still very much on the side of um, getting Hans Zimmer a score nomination, regardless of. Let's see. So here we go. Dune Part 2 score submitted for Oscars despite not meeting eligibility requirements. I don't think this is over yet, says Denis Villeneuve. So let's go into his quotes here. So let's see. Where is his
Uh,
quote? They bury it in the fucking article. It's called Dune Part 2, not Dune 2. The story starts the second we finish the first movie. We are still within that story, those characters, and it would be foolish and completely uncinematic to go and write new themes for the characters instead of enlarging the theme. He's
mm,
right. It is the same story.
yeah,
It's this is silly. Like I
he is
think,
con he contextualized that like so perfectly for the Academy
yeah,
to be like, look, we're making the part two. It's not like the second movie; it's literally part two, and it picks
it's
up
the same film.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah, he put that very good way.
yeah.
Yeah, I wonder again. We'll keep up on this, but it'd be a great turn of events if it gets part of the nomination for best soundtrack.
I I don't know. I really do think like this will potentially make them reconsider, or they're gonna submit it and they're like, "Yeah, we already told you no."
You
Like, what
know,
do you want me to say?
yeah,
So we'll see. I think, yeah, like you said, it's a developing story. Denis
yeah,
Villeneuve stands behind his composer, which of course he does.
yeah,
Um, but at the same time, like we said last week, this score is masterful. So
yeah,
why are you not going to nominate it just because it's a part two? And at the same
yeah.
time, it's something about 20% or whatever we said last week. 20% of the score is the original, the first film score. I think, like, I think at the same time, like you have John Williams nominated for Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, and
Oh, was a lot of that like original
yeah,
Anita?
I
Yeah,
feel like
that's stupid.
it
That's
is
dumb.
stupid, and
Yeah,
of course you nominate that because it's fucking Indiana Jones and Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. Like, yeah, like it's
yeah,
the Star Wars themes that we all know
hmm
and love. It's the Indiana Jones theme that we all know and love. I do think Indiana Jones 5 probably had a lot of new compositions, but at the same, like, Rise of Skywalker didn't. That
yeah.
movie's bad. Like, that movie is not good, and I think he was nominated for that. So it's like, what are we doing? Dune Part 2 is going to
Yeah,
be this year's like Oppenheimer. So like, we're not going to nominate for best score just because it
I know
uses more than
that
twenty
is
percent.
ridiculous. Yeah,
It's stupid, and it's something that we'll talk about potentially every week here on Awards Bait moving forward.
I'm so ready for it.
I love it. So we'll keep an eye on this as it develops. But Denis Villeneuve is back in his boy. So
Yeah,
we'll see what happens next. But yeah, your move, Academy.
yeah,
So
your move. Yeah.
your
Well,
move.
I mean, really quick, there's like nothing about it, but I heard, I know we want to get to the movies we watched, but I heard there was like a new, they're kind of planning like a new Star Wars trilogy,
I did hear this.
and it's like,
Um,
why?
I know, and we're not going to talk about it because it's not going to be nominated for Oscars.
I know. Yeah.
But yeah, I know. Yeah, it's. I mean, look. At the end of the day, like with
Just
that
because
shit.
you brought up like
Yeah, I know.
the Star Wars soundtracks, I thought was kind of
I think like at the same like with that, um, I think John Williams is done with Star
yeah.
Wars.
How old is he? Like 90?
He's probably older than 90.
He's got to be like ridiculously old,
I know.
unless he was literally like 18 when they did Star Wars, and he's still like in his 70s. But yeah, no, it's not gonna. Yeah, we can move on.
Yeah. Well, but
Let's just go on.
I
Move on.
definitely. I first of all, the new Star Wars trilogy is not going to happen because they've announced so many films and they don't come out. So no way.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know. We'll get into Anora, or do you want to start with the other one? What do you want to do?
We could start with Anora. That's fine.
All right, we'll start with Anora.
Yeah.
Anora is very fucking good. So this movie unflinchingly shows you the like all of Sean Baker's films. It really unflinchingly shows you the this sort of sex worker kind of vibe with Anora Annie. She goes by. She's a stripper. She is kind of a prostitute as well, and dabbles in prostitution. And she meets this Russian, well-off billionaire's parents' son. So this fucking kid. He's 21 and she's 23. That's what
Yeah,
it was.
yeah.
And he is in America. He hires an escort for the week to hang out with him, to have sex with him, whatever. And he one thing leads to another, and they go to Vegas and get married. And it's presented in this very kind of fairy tale romance kind of whirlwind vibe at the initial part of it, and then his parents catch wind of it, and it becomes Uncut Gems, which I was very happy to discover. And I'm sure you were as well. We were sitting there in the theater with my girlfriend watching this, and I don't think I had a better theater experience this year. Genuinely. Like, I truly loved this movie. And I think, like, to see Mikey Madison emerge as this just incredible actress, and I think you and I have talked about this before with, like, Tarantino really kind of being ahead of the game here with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. He cast Sydney Sweeney, Austin Butler, Mikey Madison to play these Marilyn Manson, or not Marilyn Manson, Jesus Christ. What the hell's the guy's name?
The Manson family. Yeah.
Not Marilyn Manson, Charles Manson.
No, not Marilyn.
Wow.
No, Charles Manson. Yeah.
Yeah, I am unwell.
Jeez.
Yeah. So anyway, he was ahead of the curve there. Like, these are all now.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, looking back, like that was 6 years ago now.
I know. Incredible names in cinema right now. And Sydney Sweeney's fine. But Austin Butler's great.
Yeah,
she's fine. I think she's going to be really good. What's that wrestling movie that she's doing?
I've heard about that. Yeah, I don't remember the name.
That's going to be good. She'll be good in that. But anyway, and Maya Hawke as well is in that movie. She's great. So ahead of the curve there, like, really great stuff. And Mikey Madden just out of nowhere emerges as this phoenix. Like, she's so fucking good in this movie. And, like, you can tell that she did all the research. She really is kind of like, this is kind of weird to say, but, like, she's doing a good job as a stripper.
You can't hire, like,
she does a great job.
You can't have an actress not, portray that properly without it looking like really artificial or just like awkward.
I think even the accent that she portrayed, like, that's not how she talks.
Oh yeah, the New York accent, yeah.
Yeah, she did a great job, and I think she's she has emerged. Look, if Emma Stone can win for Poor Things, which I think is a lot of this stuff as well, I think I see no reason for Mikey Madison not to win. I really genuinely think that this is our Best Actress winner right here. I think the movie is, like, first of all, it's hilarious. Like, it's the funniest movie I've seen this year, which I was not expecting. I go into this and I'm like, this is, like, actually hysterical. And like,
Sean Baker has this way of just, like, making these sort of moments that should be, like, tense and, like, actually, like, oh, I don't feel comfortable watching this. He makes them, like, so funny. Because I remember even in Red Rocket, there were scenes that, like, should be kind of uncomfortable and, like, awkward feeling. Yeah. And it just come off, like, so ridiculous and funny. Like, it's exactly what, like, the audience saw it as, and it's perfect that it just landed. Completely. Our audience, our theater was laughing at every single scene that, like, was supposed to be funny.
We got to talk about the other thing that happened.
What was that?
So this movie, let's warn you right now. This movie is extremely graphic sexually.
Yeah.
There is a lot of sex scenes. There is a lot of explicit content. I don't think it is nearly as bad as Poor Things. I think Poor Things definitely goes further in the sexual content route than this. This is more of your kind of traditional sex scene. You don't really see too much.
There's one scene.
You see a lot, but like,
not of her, I don't think, but the guy you do.
Even the guy, like, I feel like a lot of
there's
not porn. Scene. It's done tastefully.
No, but there's one scene, again, played off as a joke, where he's, like, naked and he flips backwards on the bed.
That was great.
Like, and lands, and he's like, "Okay, I'm ready now," and you see like everything on him.
I think even that was brief enough that it wasn't. Like,
it was very brief. Yeah.
Yeah. There's no intense penis shots.
No.
It's not that graphic, but, like, I definitely think, like, there's a lot of sex scenes,
Yeah.
And it's, but it's nothing you haven't seen before if you're, not new to this. So
Hmm.
anyway, we saw this movie pretty packed actually. I was very surprised. And there were a lot of older people watching this movie. And
Yeah, yeah, I
Maria,
remember.
right?
Yeah, I remember looking around, and it must have been because it won the Palme d'Or.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it was like kind of shocking to me, being like, "Why are you here? Like, do you not
Yeah.
know like what this is at all?" It was kind of like surprising to me.
Yeah, it was weird. But yeah, anyway, there's a lot of older people watching this film and they're responding, they're laughing when they're supposed to laugh. But next to my girlfriend is this older couple, much older. And every time there was any sort of twerk, any sort of nipple, any sort of make out, any sort of thrust, she's gasping in the most intense way, checking her phone, and on the final sex scene, I'm not kidding, the last sex scene of the movie, except for the ending of the film, which we'll get into with
Yeah.
spoilers, they get up and leave.
Hmm.
They get up and exit the movie, and then they missed the magic that happens that next hour.
Yeah.
And because like I said, and I told her that when it happened, I said they left, and I bet you that is the last sex scene because like after that, like with
You gotta tell it
Vanya,
was like wrapping up. It was kind of
yeah,
like because it was like the whole first half is like that sort of fairy tale.
yeah, and then
And it
it's
had
like
that feeling where
yeah,
it literally like after that last scene, it just like wrapped up, and then it literally felt like okay, now it's gonna shift, and it shifted.
yeah, and then it's like you get the knock on the door and the Russians are coming, and it's like okay,
Yeah,
here we go, like and then
yeah.
that happens for so long. Like there was a certain point when they're in the on the couch, like doing this kind of tug of war of like Anora keeps fighting with them
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and like they tie her up and all that shit, and then they're looking for Vanya, all this shit, and like I was like, oh wow, like wait, this is gonna be most of the movie now. Like I was like, I realized that, and I was like initially like, am I over this? But then like it kept going and it kept getting funnier, and I was
Hmm.
like, nah, I like this a lot. Like now we're gonna like, basically long story short, like people, his family finds out that he got married in Vegas. Not well, no, they don't know he got married in Vegas, and that's another joke. They found out he got
He,
married,
yeah,
and
they
they're like,
finally got
we're
married.
gonna go get this annulled immediately. Like we're gonna go get this taken care of. We're not gonna. We're gonna sweep this under the rug. You're gonna go back to Russia with your family, and we're gonna wash our hands of this because you married a prostitute and you are bringing shame to our family. Um, and Vanya, I think is it Vanya? What's his name?
I think it was
They
Vanya.
call him
Yeah.
Vanya, but what's his like actual name? I can't remember.
Ah,
Ivan.
Ivan. Yeah.
Ivan. Ivan is he's 21. He's a fucking kid. So
Yeah.
he's like just a reckless fool. So he runs away, and then Toros and Igor and Gornik, my three favorite people in a movie this year, genuinely like gives me the same energy as Uncut Gems, and that's Uncut Gems is my favorite movie of all time, and to see this replicate that made me so happy and made me like, am I gonna want to watch it more? Is this gonna be a 5-star film for me in a couple of rewatches? I think so, and it's like I loved it so much, and like just to see this like comedy keep going, it made me so happy because I wasn't expecting it, and I was like, and then it kept going, and like you and I and Maria, we just kept laughing, and I'm like,
Mhm.
this is a fantastic time, and like, and then it wraps up in a way that's so devastating that I was like, holy shit, like this was an incredible experience for me, and I came away from it being like, wow, that really did a lot and like really said a lot, and I think like that's kind of what the Oscars are all about. So I was like, yeah, that last scene really kind of cemented her in the race for Best Actress, and I think really kind of potentially made this like a Best Picture frontrunner. Like
Mhm.
genuinely, like I really do think like even despite the salacious content, like I think like this can go further than like Best Actress. Like I think like Sean Baker has cemented himself into a household name. And I think like he's for sure. I don't remember what the I know the Florida Project was a very well, like, it had a lot of Oscar nominations. Red Rocket was shut out completely. Um,
Yeah, kind of
Unfortunate.
obvious. I
Yeah,
mean,
like,
unfortunately, I mean, given the nature of Red Rocket and
yeah, I think that one was a tougher sell. But
yeah,
I think and the Florida Project did get nominated for Best Picture. I can't remember if he got nominated for director, maybe, but in any case, he will get nominated for Anora, and that's great because Sean Baker deserves, much like Robert Eggers, I think deserves the spotlight because like
hmm
he's been doing so much to like destigmatize sex work in so many of his films, and I think it's important to do that. And I've been loving everything he's done in a lot of
hmm
these films, and I can't wait to see what else he does. I don't think he's one of these guys that's going to get swallowed up by like a Marvel movie. I think that's great. I think he's just going to keep making films like this, and
hmm
like I love that. Like I think there's such a, especially with Anora. I think like if he keeps making movies like Anora, I'm gonna be like his biggest fan. And
hmm
if he just keeps down that road, I'm gonna support him in all of his endeavors. But yeah, Ronnie, what did you think of Anora? And like, I've been talking too much, but you talk about Anora for a bit because it's so good, and I want to hear what you have to say as well.
it was such a fun time. Yeah, it was perfectly like um it really did have like the Uncut Gems vibes
Hmm.
of just like this crazy story. I really liked it. I kind of wish there was like a little bit more that kind of went on
Yeah,
besides just like, okay, they fall in love. Okay, it's like a goose hunt after him. Because what happens is, they get married, the parents find out, and it's such a great scene where the guy's like, there's like a guy that's kind of watching over the son in America, and
yeah,
he has to like leave like a baptism, like mid. He's like, I'm so sorry, I have to go, and he leaves. He goes like to go after him, and then the guy runs away. So they kind of they hold down Honora or Annie,
yep,
and then they kind of like spend like 30 to 40 minutes kind of trying to find him again.
yeah,
And I kind of wish there was like a little bit more that happened instead of it just kind of being like, all right, a fantasy like romance, a goose hunt, and it just like ends.
yeah.
But it was all well made. The sequence of just like, because it's not like really funny per se in the first half. Like there's nothing like kind of comical like in the second half, like in the first
Mhm.
half, where it builds where it's like, okay, you have these kind of wackier character, not wackier, but you have these characters come in and they get into the situation that, like I mentioned earlier, where it's supposed to be like in a normal movie, this is taken like very kind of seriously, where it's like
It's
there's these men
scary.
kind of scary. They're kind of kidnapping and like restraining this girl,
Yeah.
but it ends off it gets played off really funny because you have this guy who's like kind of hired to just help them, and he's kind of just like doing exactly what they're told, and he was holding the girl down and he's holding them in like awkward like sexual positions, but it's played off like a laugh, and he's like, I'm literally just trying to hold her
Yeah.
down. And then there's more of like she's like actually a threat where she's like physically actually one upping them because they're like actually not trying to hurt her, they're just trying to like hold her
Right.
down. um and it just builds from there where they're trying to find him. I just remember the scene when they're driving and the guy just like throws up. He's like, what
So great.
are you kidding me? It just keeps going.
He just keeps going.
It just more and more keeps
Yeah, because
spilling out
like
of his mouth.
so Honora like kicks him in the face, breaks his nose, and
Yeah.
he has a concussion for the
I was gonna
whole
say a
rest of the
concussion.
movie.
Yeah.
And like he's just not doing well for the whole thing. And yeah, he's like his nose is bleeding, his nose is broken. They're refusing to take him to the hospital because they just got to get this shit done.
Yeah.
And yeah, he just vomits everywhere, and it just keeps going. I thought he was gonna die. Like I was waiting for him to
Yeah.
die, and it was just. But spoilers, by the way. Like we're gonna totally get into this,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
yeah, it was just like that character. I think was my favorite, just because he's always like, "Hey guys, like I'm not doing great. Like I'm probably gonna die. Like I'm concussed. I should go to the hospital. My nose is broken. Honora really
Oh.
fucked me up,
Yeah.
and she's just in the back seat, like just talking shit. And then like,
Yeah.
yeah, and then I love like, I mean, the Igor stuff really is heartbreaking by the end. Like I
Yeah.
genuinely like he's such a you think, I mean, like, look, she says it in the movie. He has rape eyes, vibe.
Mm-hmm.
So you get negative, bad vibes from him, and you're
Mm-hmm.
like, this guy is up to no good. He's just looking at her. He's giving her a weird vibe. Why did you bring that red scarf? Why did you bring that? And it's like, you know why he brought it. It's so if you act up again, he can gag you again. So
Mm-hmm.
like it's all very like uncomfortable and weird, but by the end you kind of see more into his soul and
It,
like
it like perfectly for me, that character kind of perfectly towed the line of like he's genuinely just trying to be like helpful, and
yeah,
also like he's kind of being creepy. I couldn't really tell, but it was perfect. Like that was
yeah,
the perfect line that he was towing,
yeah,
where it's like he's kind of like trying to like make her feel better and trying to like be like supportive to her because this is like a weird scenario to be in. And she's like, no, you're a creep. Like, kind of leave me alone. And then that kind of plays into it because you're like, I don't know if he's genuinely being a creep or he's just
yeah.
being helpful.
And it's like,
Um,
yeah, I mean, like, and Maria like leaned over to me. She's like, they're gonna hook up, and I'm like, I don't know. And then like they
I
do.
had that feeling too because the whole movie you're kind of building to these two characters keep interacting,
Yeah.
and I was kind of like, there's no way this ends without like some sort of interaction with them that actually is like a significant moment in the movie. And
Hmm.
there was something towards the end, but I didn't think that was enough of a significant action where they're kind of like back together again by the end
Yeah.
because spoilers, they get the divorce
Yes.
and they kind of were like, okay, you can go back to the house for one more day and then you're getting out, and it's him and Anora, and
And
they
what
kind of have
they're,
like,
they're giving her like 10K, right?
yeah, they gave her 10K to like kind of do this divorce and kind of get it annulled.
Yeah.
Um and they had this last interaction where she's kind of they're talking and stuff like that. And I do think there is significance in this movie about Annie and her role of like her identity and like her getting sort of this money payoff because he asked her, well, what's the character's name? Igor? Was he the one?
The one that she hooks up with, yeah.
Yeah. He is like asking her like about her name and sort
Hmm.
of like interesting sort of questions about like her personality and her identity. And she's kind of like, well, it doesn't mean anything to us. And I think it's trying to point at like a larger, I think this helps on multiple viewings because the movie's titled her name, so there is
Yeah.
significance to that. So I think there is more deeper meaning to like her identity and like her kind of place in society, because there also you have her being this stripper and she's
Mhm.
taking in money, and as she kind of evolves that to being an escort
Yeah.
prostitute taking more money, and then you have her take more money at the end to do this divorce. So it's almost like she's getting placed as like a societal thing where it's like all she's seen as is money
Yeah.
and just like this thing that they need to like maintain and control over. Um, Again, that's more like insightful. I think that opens up on multiple extra viewings,
Yeah.
than just like a one-time viewing. But beyond the funniness of the movie, it does get like you mentioned earlier, it does get really sad because she's like, we're not getting a divorce, but then by the end you kind of see Yvonne. Is it Yvonne? Yvonne?
Yeah. Yvonne and yeah, or Vanya.
Or Yvonne? Yeah, yeah, yeah. You see him like actually like they're right. Like they kind of say throughout the movie, he's a child. Like you don't know who he is, and you have him run away, and he ends up back at the strip club that Annie
Yeah.
works at.
She goes right back to the
and
start.
and there's like a subplot with like a different stripper who like is antagonistic to Annie.
Yeah.
But you see him go back there, and it's just like he's actually acting like a child. Like he's like drunk, just like gone out of his mind, and he's like not not verbal. Like he's like not even understanding what's going on. And then they go to the court in New York unknowingly, like you mentioned. It's important because I guess in Nevada you need to actually be in the state that you got married in to get it annulled. And they thought that they were in New York,
Hmm.
and they
Such
go
a,
to do
also a
it.
good scene.
Oh, a great scene.
You
A
got
great scene.
you gotta go to fucking Vegas now.
Yeah,
You
is it
gotta go
great
to
because
fucking.
they find out that they didn't get married, and then, yeah, like Jake said, yeah, it's just like it's so perfect.
Because it's
But
like it's very safty the way they
yeah,
do that.
oh yeah,
So good.
absolutely, which I love because
So
there's a
good.
lot of like over talking on
I
each
love
other, and
it.
some of the camera work was like very Safdie
And
esque.
then the zooms.
Um,
Oh, the
yeah,
zooms.
the zooms, yeah.
So good.
Um, but then yeah, they do that, and then they find out they can't do that, and she's like, stand up for yourself. Like, what's your problem? And he's like, I can't do that. I have to talk to my parents. And
Yeah.
then you kind of realize like, oh, he's actually like a child. Because then they go to the airport, the parents actually come, and she tries to be like nice to the parents, and they're like, no, we're not going to talk to you at all. And
You
she's
are a
like,
whore. Yeah.
and then at one point, I was like, this is going to actually be clean, because I'm sure you noticed she was like, "Well, I'm gonna get. We didn't sign a prenup, so I'm gonna take half your
Oh, I
money."
love that.
And I
Yeah.
was like, "Oh, this is gonna be so clean. Like, it's gonna actually be like an amazing scene where
Revenge.
she."
Yeah.
And then she just doesn't go through with it,
I know.
and I'm just
Well,
like,
because
"Why not?"
you know what she's doing there, doing like she's like, if you do that, then and then you know it's like you're going to get swept under the rug, and we're potentially going to kill you. Like it's like this is not going to end well for you guys.
Yeah.
The way Vanya's mother
And
delivered
she's
that,
totally like the powerhouse of the family too. Like
threatening you, like yeah,
the the
the dad,
the
yeah, no,
dad was like laughing at stuff like actual like the family is like a problem to begin with.
oh yeah.
But the dad's like kind of like laughing at stuff happening as the mom's like trying to act serious and
Well,
she's
because
like in
he knows
control,
his son is
whatever.
pathetic. He knows.
Yeah.
She
Yeah.
knows too, but she's like embarrassed to accept that.
Hmm.
But he's just like, yeah,
Yeah.
fuck my son. I
Yeah,
know.
because Annie brings that up like when they're signing the papers in
Yep.
Nevada because they take a very awkward airplane ride to Nevada.
Yeah.
But you actually see like he's actually like a child, so like you can see
100%.
why. And then at that point, she's like, "Okay, I'm legit divorcing you." But then she says the stuff about taking half the money. But then, like you said, did probably kill her.
I think they were definitely threatening violence because like the whole movie, like even when I learned about like I remember we saw the trailer and they're like, they show like, oh, your family, and they show up to the house. I always thought it was going to lead to violence. It never does. But like I was like under the impression that like, okay, there's a mob situation going on. Like
hmm
they're
Yeah,
involved in
like a
some
Russian
crook
mob.
shit. Like yeah, they're
Yeah,
involved in some crooked shit. I mean, even in the beginning, Yvonne is kind of like, yeah, like I arms
yeah,
deal, I drug deal, and it's like, what do you actually? It's like that's probably not a lie. Like there's definitely
yeah.
something illegal going on, and that's how you guys have so much
Well, he was
money.
like, look up my father. He's this name."
Yeah,
And then yeah, she's like, "Oh, okay, yeah,
yeah, and it's like they never tell us what he's exactly rich
yeah,
for, but it's like it's probably some crooked shit, and
yeah,
I think the threat of violence always looms large over potentially Honora, and it's like if you go through with this, you might get a payday, but you're gonna enjoy it for 2 days, and then we're gonna kill you, and it's like
yeah." That's
I,
true.
I do think the threat of death is always there because especially the way Igor is kind of looking at her from the plane there, where he's like, she's like whispering in her ear, and Igor's just kind of like, yeah, you're not getting out of this. Like he's just looking at her like, and you kind of feel for her in that moment too because you're like, you're just gonna go right back home. You're gonna go back to the club, and sure enough, and that bitch, whatever her name was, and what did she say? She's like 2 weeks on the dot. I knew it, and it's like,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
like damn it, you're so fucking right, and it's annoying because like it sucks to see the good guy lose, and that's
But
kind of what this was.
that character is specifically such a like a Sean Baker type character, like
Oh yeah,
just toxic for the sake of being toxic.
like trash.
Like
Yeah,
he has such a like a fine like tune of like kind of trashy scum like people.
yeah, I know. It's
Sean
great, and
Baker, because like Red Rocket was kind of all that. Like it's just like ex porn star that goes back to.
I think it worked better there because like and that's why like Nora I like this movie more than Red Rocket,
Oh
but like
yeah, yeah,
I think Honora, it's sad to see her go down this route. But like in Red
yeah,
Rocket, you're like, yeah, fuck this dude. Like
yeah.
genuinely fuck this dude. And like, because I just recently rewatched Red Rocket, and like, he's such a phony ass like
Hmm.
punk that
But
you're
it
just
may,
like fuck him.
yeah,
And like by
yeah.
the end, you're just kind of like, yeah, this is so like you feel like you're watching like a really trashy like family argument by the end of that movie. Like they steal all of his money that he's been stashing away to like go with Strawberry, and
Hmm.
like by the end of it, there's like yeah, fuck, it's like dude, like we got all these gang members here like ready to fuck you up if you try anything. Pack your shit. Get your clothes, get the fuck out of here, and then he's just like, fuck you, whatever. Like, and then he's talking shit, and he's talking shit on his way out, and you're just kind of like, all right,
Yeah,
this is just a really uncomfortable family argument that I have
yeah.
the unpleasure of watching. But like in this, it's just like she ultimately like gets back home. Igor drops her off. He gives her the engagement ring. She's able
Hmm.
to potentially pawn that off and make some money from this whole, awful experience that she's had for these past whatever 2 weeks. This whirlwind of a life. She went from top of the world to right back where she started, and like by the end, like she just like has sex with Igor just because, and then the second it gets intimate, the second he's trying to kiss her, she just breaks down. And that really, they leave you with that. And it kind of creeps up on you because you're like, oh, like they're having sex. And you're just kind of so desensitized to it by that point because it's like, all right, here she goes again. And that's kind of the point. And like, it's so she sees sex as like such a tool. And it's just like, hey, like it's transactional. Like you gave me this, and now
Yeah, I was even thinking that while you said that, like he gave her the ring, so
yeah.
she gives him that in return.
And then like the second it gets like a little too intimate, she breaks down, she hits him, she's crying, and the movie ends. And it's just like so tragic, and
there's no music too; it just
nothing.
ends.
Yeah, and then you just hear like the windshields, and it's like this is awful. Like this is genuinely awful, and it's like that moment right there. I'm like, yep. Give her the Oscar because like you feel it and you're like, damn, like this is really tough to watch and like it's devastating and like I genuinely felt bad and like it creeps up on you, like I said, like it's because you're it's not a fun movie but you're laughing the whole time and you're just kind of like,
oh yeah,
what a great ride this was. And then by the end you're just like, damn, like this is she's got to go back and like wallow in this and like this is like at the end of the day, you can't escape this. Like this is your life, and like there's got to be a change made at some point because it's like focus on you. Like don't just do this and treat this like such a transactional thing because it's like it's not like it's a deeply personal, intimate thing, and you can be a stripper and dance and have fun, but like Jesus Christ, like the way that she was approaching this was super wrong, and like I hope. You genuinely hope that Anora got the help that she needed by the end of it because it's like, fuck. Like, it was a tough watch by the end. You felt like similar to Red Rocket, you felt like you were in the room for a really uncomfortable thing that you probably shouldn't have been there for. And I think that's the best kind of movies. So, like, definitely up there as, like, one of my favorites of the year. Certainly going to be an awards darling once the nominations and things like that come out. And I really love that because it's a funny movie. It's a great movie. I think it's a crowd pleasing movie if you can get past all of the sexual content.
Yeah.
And I think it's one of the best. Yeah.
And I do like that Sean Baker kind of went out of his element a little bit because obviously you have Florida Project, which is like, not swampy Florida, but like high humid sort of climate. You have Red Rocket. I don't know where it is based. Isn't it like California?
It's in the mid Texas.
Yeah, it's just like another hot, like sunny kind of condition. But this is like completely different. It's like New York City and it's cold. Like it's the exact sort of opposite, but it still keeps like that essence. And I like that like he's able to still sort of make a movie with these sort of completely different tone and feel.
Yeah.
But still have it be like this is a Sean Baker movie.
Definitely. Yeah. Loved it. Super definitely recommended if you are tracking the Oscars at all this year. I think Anora is going to be one of the big ones. Let's talk about a movie that maybe won't be, but we both saw it. We saw it last night. I think it's one that we wanted to talk about because it had a lot of promise. And I think this was one of those trailers that I saw where I was like, here's an awards contender. And it's not, but I think it's still worth talking about. And it is Robert Zemeckis' new film, Here. Robin Wright, Tom Hanks, also a lot of other people. I was surprised by how much this movie kind of goes out of its way to showcase other people in this house. But for those of you that don't know, this film takes place entirely with one camera angle, and it's basically this camera angle the whole movie. It takes place in majority of this living room of a house, and it passage of time. It shows Tom Hanks and Robin Wright sort of live their life in this house. They have children. They have one girl. They live their life. They move on. Other people move in. People before Tom Hanks are there, and then there's the camera angle of like the fucking dinosaurs and like the meteor and shit. They show like old like fucking this first discovery of America type shit, like really, really old school stuff. It spans centuries, basically. And it's an interesting idea. I really do think it was a like something I wanted to see, and I was very curious about it. There's a lot of CGI de-aging going on with Tom Hanks and Robin Wright, especially. In the beginning, Paul Bettany, the Vision, for those of you that don't know, and his wife's, I can't remember the actress's name, but they both get de-aged as well. So yeah, I mean, Robert Zemeckis has a way of experimenting with technology. I think this was a scenario where like he seemed to really put the technology advancement before the story potentially. I think like there was I overall I really enjoyed the experience of this movie more than I did like the like kind of content in it. Like I think the idea, everything that happened in the movie, like I was into, and I think the sprawling, like similar, like we talked about last night, Forrest Gump kind of vibes. You have the same team from Forrest Gump making this film, and like the fact that it spans so much and it goes through so many things and touches on so many things is really like ambitious and cool. It didn't all come together for me, but I know you liked it. I know you. I want to hear you talk about it a little bit. But I overall I liked it. I admired it. I think there's a couple of things that I really, and you for the reason that you liked it, I think maybe I didn't because like it got to be truly devastating for me by the end.
Yeah.
Like there was
Yeah.
like a certain thing, and I've come away from it. I listened to a podcast about it, and it made me even more sad. And I was like, this is super devastating for like kind of no reason. And I don't know, it really kind of upset me. And I talked it through with Maria last night as well when we were going to sleep. And I was like, man, like this movie kind of fucked me up. Like I really got genuinely sad at some of this stuff because like I guess we'll just jump right into spoilers here, but it's like, you know, ultimately Tom Hanks and Robin Wright, like they're not for each other and they get divorced and like it's sad. And like at the end of the movie, like in the second they get divorced, like they both fulfill their dreams. Like and I'm just like, what is the message here? Like what are we doing? And like by the end, like he sort of brings her back and they're both super old and it's 10 years after the COVID era family, and they come back to the house. It's an open house. It's getting sold again. It's all kind of going through the motions. He brings Robin Wright back, who at this point is just like super, you know, Alzheimer's ridden. Like she's not
Yeah.
doing well. She's
Yeah.
forgetting everything, and he just brings her there, and he goes, "Hey, like this was our home. This was where we lived." And she's like, "I remember it here. I loved it here." And it's just like, don't you didn't though. Like you actually didn't love it here. This is just all you ever knew. So you remember it. This is the only thing you remember because this is the only place you ever were. So that I came away from it thinking about that and I was like, that is so fucking sad. And I was like, because she hated it. Like her whole life, she was just like,
Yeah.
I wanna move out. I want to start our own family. I want to get our own home. And he's just like, the taxes. No. And it's just like,
Yeah.
and it really, like I was thinking about it and I heard a podcast talk about it and I was like, this, I was like, that's even more warped when you think about it because he's like, he's bringing her back there. He knows she's not doing well. And she's like, I remember it. I love it here. And I'm like, this is awful. Like, this is so sad. But I know you enjoyed it. And I did too. I think it's a good movie. I think it's definitely like, if you want to see something like this, I think there's all the talent on display is great. But Ronnie, what did you think of Here from Robert Zemeckis?
I really enjoyed it. I was surprised, like going in, seeing the Rotten Tomato score and kind of the
Yeah,
general reception. I thought this was gonna just be like a complete misfire, like it was just like not good. I found it like pretty endearing and pretty like um representative of like the human experience,
yeah,
where it shows like, and I know we discussed this right after the movie ended. We talked about how like, it's got this blipping of, okay, it's this time, now it's this time, now it's this family, it's this family. I think it's in some aspects it is like really endearing to see these sort of different kind of cultures still doing like the same thing of like completely different times. Like there's natives of the time
Mhm.
showing like the baby the moon, and it cuts and it has like a little inbox editing, which I kind of thought was interesting, of Tom Hanks in the house. And
Yeah.
he's like, look, there's that moon, and then it's a painting that he do. He's like, there's that moon, so there's two moons. And it's just like, even though so many different things changed and it's completely different contexts, it's still like these sort of similar human experiences of showing a baby something like the moon
Yeah.
and having these sort of like a life experience of like this home was home to like so many different experiences, so many different, events that happened in life.
Yeah.
Although I agree with you. It was a little bit like, all right, we're gonna have a wedding and a like
Like,
a wedding. We had a wedding, a funeral, a birth, and a death, all in this house. I mean, this is
it's
absurd.
insane. Like they need there's the amount of like contrivances that need to happen for this
Yeah,
camera angle to work in this house is
yeah,
kind of
it's
absurd.
crazy. Yeah,
Like it really kind of makes you stretch that that
believability.
believability for sure.
Yeah,
Like it's ridiculous. Like I think there could have been like a like they utilized that like kind of comic book panel shit the whole movie.
yeah.
But like I think there could have been a way where if you framed it right, you can show in the box like potentially a different location. Like and it's like maybe you just show like by where where the TV is potentially. You show like a
Hmm.
little box of like Tom Hanks and Robin Wright at the altar getting married. Like I think there's a way to do that where it's not you don't break that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, that's a good point because you have that shot
Yeah,
of them like doing the video projection, and they have like that tarp.
exactly.
They
Yeah,
could have showed it. That's why like there's some things in this movie that like technically are really impressive too,
yeah,
where you have like that sort of scene where there's people sitting on a couch and on like one side, sort of like one half of the screen, if
yeah.
you could say it, there's like a film screen and they're projecting like stuff from the wedding or like
Mhm.
memories. I'm like, this is such like a cool like angle to see like you're getting like a different perspective, but you're still in this house.
Yeah,
And there's also angles where you have someone like holding a mirror. And I remember you looked over, you're like, that's the other side of the house. Like
yeah.
we,
I was
we've seen here,
excited.
we've been sitting here for like an hour and a half ish or so. We're finally seeing the other half of the house. Like it's interesting that you can make a movie like this and have something as literally as simple as just seeing the other side of the house be like actually like a significant like that
Thing.
that actually, yeah, a significant like thing, and like actually be like, this is actually like interesting and like a big moment to see another part of the house. I really liked it. I can see why people didn't like it. um I really liked the whole aspect of showing the whole human experience of being like these are like the realities of life, that like things like this happen, where if we get into more spoilers, like Tom Hanks and Robin Wright, like they get pregnant and he's like 18, she's like 19, like way too early.
Yeah.
And you have this sort of like, and that goes part, I cut myself up, but that goes part to some of the de-aging, where you turned to me at one point and you're like, he's supposed to be 25 here. And I'm like, oh my
It's
God, he's
ridiculous.
like, he looks ridiculous.
And,
Yeah.
and it's also like, why did you cast Paul Bettany then? Because it's like he is a younger man than Tom Hanks, and it's like
Yeah, I guess because you have less de-aging to work with, or you have to
I
deal with.
guess, but it's like, but even so, like I said to you, Tom
I mean,
Hanks.
he played the role perfectly, to be
No,
fair.
he did a good
Yeah.
job. Like
Yeah, yeah,
he
yeah.
was good in the film, but like I said, I lean over to you. Maybe don't cast Tom Hanks then, because it's like when you lean
Yeah.
when Tom Hanks is 25 and digitally de-aged and looks older still than Paul Bettany, there's a problem there. Like it's like
Yeah, there's a
this
problem.
is weird. Like he
Yeah.
looks like he looks old, and it's like
Hmm.
I leaned over. I thought they had another kid. I thought it was like 10 years later, and it wasn't.
Yeah.
It was like the kid was
Hmm.
7 and he
Hmm.
was supposed to be 24, 25 years old. He just had an office job, and it's like, wow, that's really jarring. And also like how are they able to live in this house under the same roof for this long? And it's like all because of like he's scared of like fucking money. Like I don't get it. Like it was kind of crazy, and like I really like you said, the human experience, yes, and like the life and all that shit. But like I was just like, I don't know, it was just so sad. Like it made me upset.
Yeah, but I kind of, I don't know, I like that in
I
movies because
know.
it's like the whole, like, because it's also we have this experience where we're so much younger
Yeah,
than someone who's experienced life. Because for them, and that's why you kind of brought up the ending about how like she's like, oh, I love to hear. I
yeah,
think part of the human sort of experience is having sort of like life is kind of tragic and it's
Yeah.
just like things like this just happen. But you also see like the good and like the happiness that they had all together in that
Yeah.
house.
By the end of it,
And
you're like, you only remember the good stuff.
and
Yeah.
I think that kind of played into her unfortunate dementia
Hmm.
or
Whatever was going
Alzheimer's.
on. Probably
Um,
Alzheimer's. Yeah.
because they kind of show that in the movie too, very briefly. I remember some of the people near us were like, oh, because obviously you kind of feel like it's gonna go there.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, I was driving, I had to pull over. I didn't know where I
Forgot where I
was. Like
was
I didn't.
going. I forgot where we
Yeah,
lived.
it was
It's like,
something like that,
whoa.
and it's like it happened once, and then it happened again, and I kind of knew it was going there already, but to see it like kind of happen multiple times was
Yeah.
interesting.
It's like, yeah.
Um, but I enjoyed it. I only gave it, I gave it 3.5 out of 5 because
Mhm.
I still see the problems. Some of the like scenes are very like this is like the acting is a little like played up. Like it's a little like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, like it's a little like old fashionedy where it's like, all right, let's go get a soda pop from the thing, like sort of thing like that, where it's like played up and like almost too unrealistic.
Yeah.
Um, but I kind of like resonate and it helps for me because Forrest Gump is my favorite movie of all
Yes.
time. You still have Robert Zemeckis, you have Tom Hanks, you have Robin Wright, so you have all like
I
sort
believe
of
there was a writer on this as well.
Eric Roth probably.
Probably.
Did he write Tom? Did he write Forrest Gump? Anyway,
Anyway, yeah.
yeah, I liked it, but I still see why people had like problems with it. I'm still just surprised how low the score is on like Rotten Tomatoes.
It is a little low. I didn't think it was that bad.
I didn't think it was really that bad. Yeah, Eric Roth, yeah, he also wrote Forrest Gump,
Forrest Gump. Okay.
or was a writer. Yeah, I didn't think it was like that bad. Like it wasn't like a you can't like I mean could, but you can't. I didn't walk away being like that was like not like a well-win movie.
No.
There were for sure like problems with it that could have been fixed if someone like nudged him in the right way instead of having it be like this all encompassing like life piece about like generations and stuff. Maybe you just make it like just about Tom Hanks and his life and his family. Maybe that would have been like more kind of focus point because some of it was jarring with like you kept jumping back and forth between some of these families, and I honestly like didn't remember like who these
No.
people really were
I thought it
exactly.
was going to be linear at the very least.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? Like
I
I thought I figured it would be like, okay, we're gonna have a segment of like,
yeah,
the
I thought so too. Yeah.
but it wasn't. It was just kept going back and forth. I'm like, this
Hmm.
is a little like I don't. I also just didn't really care about the other stuff. Like
Exactly,
I
yeah.
enjoyed the Lazy Boy stuff. I
The
thought that
Lazy
was
Boy
fun.
stuff was very funny, yeah.
Yeah,
But
that
that
was
was
good.
also like,
It
did we
gave us
really need
levity.
that? To be fair, it did. It did.
It gave us like if it was just like you need to see some happiness in this house
But I
too.
feel like it could have been better if it was like you get this happiness from Tom Hanks and
Yeah,
Robin Wright.
like
If you
in their
had that sort
moments,
of
like yeah, they're playing with
organic
their girl.
happiness where it's like the whole family's together.
Yeah,
Although again, you still have Robin Wright being like, I want to move out. Why can't we move out? I'm sick of this. I hate this so much. Um, what I was trying to say earlier was like they have like this child too early,
yeah,
and I think that kind of like is this like boulder on them where they're like they can't pursue their own personal happiness and what they really want out of life. And again, you have Tom Hanks' insecurities. I think it could have been a bit better portrayed where it's like have them at least try to show that they're working on trying to fix things instead of
yeah,
it kept blipping to just like her complaining again and him being like, well, we can't now still.
yeah.
Um,
It
and
was
you
just like come up with a better reason for no.
Yeah, yeah. But I still think like it was pretty like neutral in its showing of like this is just like life, like just like the
Yeah,
good and the bad and the ugly.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, I could definitely see the problems with it. It could have been better, but the sentiment and like the sort of aim for what Robert Zemeckis was trying to do, I saw and I really enjoyed. But there's like a lot of stuff that could have been fixed to
yeah.
make this like a better, like a more encompassing like piece. Um, but yeah, like I mentioned earlier, I think in a few episodes ago, nothing like a ghost story, really.
No, I remember you were saying that. Yeah, it
Besides,
was
besides
sort
it being like a one shot and like a thing like multiple families living in a house,
in the same
completely
house. Yeah,
different type of story.
yeah. More of a family, you know,
Yeah, more of like a family like just supposed to be like a crowd pleasing sort of movie
not an independent film.
instead of like a ghost story, which is kind of like this bleak, sort of like depressive, like you're just stuck here and you just have to experience life sort of movie.
Yeah, no, I think, and like I said, like awards bait. At the end of the day, it's not like it's not something we're not always going to talk about. Like Oscar nominated. Like I
Oh, of
think this
course,
this
yeah,
is something like I think you should just have this on your radar. Check it out if you've got
yeah.
time. Like it's a recommendation from both of us. Like I
Because
think
again,
definitely like
because this
while
is
it's a mixed
also
bag, it's good.
this fits into like the megalopolis thing where
Yeah,
it's less significant, but it's like this is a movie you should watch because this is more complex of like why doesn't this work as a good movie?
exactly.
Because there's parts of it that do work, and then there's some parts that don't, and it's good to get like this sort of experience of seeing movies that really work. Like Anora just works. Doom Part Two works. And we can like predict because we have this knowledge that like Nosferatu is probably going to work, The Brutalist is probably going to work,
Exactly.
and then you can see movies like Megalopolis and just like understand why that doesn't work.
Yeah, why did
And
this go
then
wrong?
seeing something like this where it's in the middle, where you have good parts and bad parts, and just knowing that's why you have to see something like this to know like, okay, parts of this do work, parts of it don't. When I see another movie that might be an Oscar worthy movie, trying to critique and figure out is this over the line or not.
Yeah. And this almost fascinates me. Like I like talking about movies like Here more because it's like it fascinates me to see how did all of these elements come together and not totally work. Like I like that. I
Exactly.
think that's I
Yeah.
think that's more engaging for me because it's like,
Hmm.
don't worry, darling. The same thing. Like it's like this just kind of didn't work. And like
Hmm.
Megalopolis, an ambitious film from an auteur that just did not come together. And
Hmm.
like
Yeah.
Here, like a mostly good film that really at the end of the day in some aspects falls short. So it's like what happened?
Yeah.
Like what is what like why aren't we going to see this in February at the Oscars? I think
Yeah.
visual effects potentially because it's just so impressive with the de-aging stuff, but
Yeah.
and they make such an emphasis on it with the technology, so potentially visual effects, but
Some of it was a little jarring.
jarring.
Like the
Yes.
hummingbird was CGI, the deer was
Oh yeah.
CGI, Roaring was.
Yeah.
I almost think some of the natives had like CGI, which is really weird.
It was very sound stagey. So like I think they were
Yeah,
real, but like the whole thing, like whenever they incorporate another environment and like somebody's
yeah,
walking into frame, I'm like, this whole thing is green screen. Like that just took me
yeah.
completely out of it.
Hmm.
So that was rough. But I think that's everything for us. What do you think?
I
You have
think
any
so.
other
Yeah,
thoughts?
yeah. We talked for. I mean, you said this would be a shorter one. I think this ended up being a
This
pretty long
probably
one.
this probably is
Yeah,
the longest, yeah, because we just had a good time talking about. Look,
yeah,
when we've got good films to talk about, we're gonna go.
yeah.
Um,
And like you mentioned, next episode might even be bigger.
certainly gonna be our
Yeah.
biggest so far. Yeah, so like I mentioned, next episode is going to be after Thanksgiving. At that time, we will have had Getting Real with Zippy release. This coming week, we have A Real Pain coming out. I know you're super pumped for that with that fucking trailer. But hey, look, I heard it was damn
Uh,
good. I heard it
and
was damn good.
that's the problem is that we saw that one trailer, that like first trailer, we saw at least a dozen times.
I know, but
So
hey,
like
I heard it was damn good.
it was like me with A West Side Story by Steven Spielberg. I'm just like I'm not gonna
Oh,
see this movie now because this same trailer played over and over
yeah,
and over again. And then you left and they showed a new trailer and I'm like this actually looks good. I
yeah,
want to go see this now.
yeah.
Just show a different trailer. Don't show me the same one for 3 months. That's oh, you slapped me in the face. Oh yeah, it hurts because you slapped me in the face. And I'm like, just stop showing me this, please.
I know, I know. But yeah, we have A Real Pain coming out this coming weekend. It is expanding to Around Us, I believe, so we will
Mhm.
definitely check that out.
Yeah.
Amelia Perez is coming out on Netflix. That is, I heard, has got some buzz. It's got Selena Gomez, Zoe Saldana
Mm.
in it. I've heard some good things about it. Red One from Dwayne Johnson, that's coming out. The Piano Lesson with there's a film.
Okay, we'll skip right over that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Red One is not going to be on our list, but
I'm also seeing that in like 2 months. So
are you seeing it around Christmas time?
yeah,
Nice. I'm
it's
seeing
even
it.
in
I will.
theaters,
I will see it
which would be
next
the
week.
worst. Oh, the worst, like, just mess up if that's somehow not playing during Christmas time.
And
Is
it'll
it really
probably.
coming out like next week?
It's coming out this coming Friday.
That is way too early
I
for
know.
that movie.
It's going to be gone for
It should
sure.
be like what's it called?
December
Like
early. Yeah.
the other the movie with the guy from Stranger Things, Hopper. It should be like that.
Yeah.
It should be
Like
that
December
time.
6th. Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah.
I like
Why?
that movie. Yeah. It
That one was good. That was a fun time.
was a fun. Oh, yeah.
This looks like just
Dog shit.
the yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it looks bad. I think the play is they're going to have it on Amazon Prime by Christmas. I think that's the plan because this is a
Yeah.
Prime movie.
Okay.
And you could tell. The piano lesson is, I believe, directed by I think one of Denzel Washington's kids. Um, John David is in it. Samuel Jackson is in it. So something to look out for. It's coming out on Netflix November 22nd. Amelia Perez is coming out on Netflix I believe, this Friday as well. And then we have the big weekend with Gladiator 2, Wicked, and Blitz. Blitz is coming out on Apple TV around November 22nd. Gladiator 2 and Wicked are coming out in theaters November 22nd. We should probably, I don't know about you, but I'll probably try to see all of these. I definitely want to make sure you and I see A Real Pain and definitely Gladiator 2 together.
Yeah.
Those two are definitely going to be awardsy.
Yeah.
And then we'll try to work out the other ones, but that's the show, guys. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I know this was a little bit of a longer one, but we had good films to talk about, so we went on for a while. But next week will be even bigger. We've got all of the movies coming out before the Thanksgiving holiday. And our next episode, like I mentioned, will be after Thanksgiving. So happy Thanksgiving to all of you guys. And thank you guys so much for tuning in. As always, like I mentioned, Getting Real with Zippy. No, second, please check that out. Join the Galaxy of Film Facebook group for early access. I'm sure we'll post the film early on the Facebook. So if you are interested in seeing Getting Real with Zippy a little early, join that Facebook group, and we will have an early link for you guys pretty soon. I'm not totally sure when right now, but stay tuned for that info. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. We recently passed 1,000 subscribers. Very exciting. We are climbing up slowly and steadily. Listen to the other podcast, the main show. Check out Pretty Hurts, like I mentioned. Follow us on Instagram. All of that stuff and more. It's going to be, we're really kind of hitting in the fast lane now, I think. I think after this, with the Thanksgiving holiday, a lot of those Oscar contender films are going to come out. Maybe even Sing Sing will get a release date. We'll see. You never know.
Finally. Hopefully.
Wouldn't that be something? Yeah. But yeah, guys, thank you guys so much for tuning in as always, and we will see you in the next episode on, I believe, November 26th. So thank you, happy Thanksgiving, and have a good one. Bye-bye.